Listening to the Wrestle with Spades podcast. Roll on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Welcome, folks, to the Wrestle with Spades podcast, a rebrand of the Wrestling is Theaters podcast. It's been a while. We got some news. PW Insider, Fightful. We got some news. The top news of today is Netflix decline on Pro Wrestling Insider. Netflix declines to raise offer for WBD, setting stage for Paramount WBD purchase. So, per Mike Johnson on PW Insider, Netflix announced that they will not raise their bid for WBD, all but paving the way for Paramount to acquire AEW's broadcast partner. So, how important it is right now, it's important towards what's going to happen with AEW. We're going to discuss all about that. Is AEW going to be safe and where they seem to be? And the product is doing really well nowadays, so we're not going to do that. That's not the way we talk about it here on the podcast. If you want us to talk about the podcast product, if you want us to talk about the wrestling product, you can tune into the Unscripted Kayfabe, which goes live every Wednesday. We will be live for the Unscripted Kayfabe every Wednesday, where we talk about pro wrestling product weekly for the shows. It's a Wednesday weekly thing. It's every single Wednesday we go live, talk about the product. But on Fridays, it's not about that. It's about news and rumors and all the scrums and discussions or whatever that are up there to be debated. Hollywood Calif on February 26th, Netflix Inc. today announced that it has declined to raise its offer. Announced that it has declined to raise its offer to Warner Bros. Netflix had earlier received notice for Warner Bros. Discovery WBD. Its board of directors has determined Paramount's guidance PSKY latest proposal, superior proposal. WBD's existing merger with agreement with Netflix. Netflix issued the following statements in response from the co-CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters. I don't know, Bella Bajaria here, but that's why. Transaction we negotiated that would have created shareholder value with a clear path to regularity. Approval, however, we're always disciplined and at the price required to match Paramount's guidance. Latest offer still no longer financially attractive, so we are declining to match the Paramount's guidance bid. So basically, it all news what the folks, the sickos, and all want to hear, and the fucking feds and WWE want to hear this shit, right? And all the basic news here, folks. And the basic all news, you want to hear all about this shit. I'll just put it together here. The fact is that WBD was first being offered a deal to be bought by Netflix. back in October. We got that shit going, rolling, and again, all those fucking people on X and Twitter and whatever the hell you want to talk about it. Every fucking social media platform out there. The WWE fans, the fucking feds, whatever you want to call them, they go out there and they talk about it. They talk about shit like that. It doesn't end. It's just they keep on talking about it, basically. So, and they keep on talking about it in a way that it supports them and what they want to feel, honestly, at the end of the day. It's not like they want anything beneficial. They think that it's bad for AEW, so AEW should die. So, and I believe that helps them. That makes them feel good because they're a loyalist to the brand, they're a loyalist to WWE, and they're a loyalist to the feds, the federation. We're not here to tell that we're some loyalists to the federation, okay? I'm generally not. I'm not. I'm gonna put it out there right away. I'm not. I am absolutely not 100% in AEW's boot camp too. I don't give a fuck about major wrestling companies because all their shit is basically fucking scummy and trash and it's messed up and the shit I fucking like hear about all this. No. So I'm in nobody's boot camp. I'm not a bootlicker for any of these companies. I don't give a fuck about them. We're here as pro wrestling fans. We love professional wrestling. We don't want to fucking suck one's dick and then suck the other dick at the other time of the day. You don't want to do that. So, but there are a lot of people who do that. Who suck it off basically to quite the point that they're loyalists to them. Little puppy dog bitches basically. They're loyalists at the end of the day. So for a lot of people, what they feel is what they feel. But again, they're loyalists at the end of the day, and they want AEW to die because it helps them feel good inside and pleasures them or whatever. It leads them to that fucking orgasm they're looking for that they won't get from a regular woman, maybe. That's what they're looking for. And as explicit as it is, this is not... I can't be as explicit as I could be. But that's what they're looking for. And you could tell that. Definitely. More on. It's a situation that's not beneficial for AEW, nonetheless. The thing with Netflix was because there's a deal with Netflix and we already knew the whole WWE situation too, but with Paramount, it's TKO. Now, does Paramount still get the rights of Dynamite and Collision and fucking All Access and all the AEW pay-per-views, Full Gear, Wrestle Dream, All Out, Double or Nothing? It's like... Does Dynamite, Warner Brothers give the rights for that? Because as also we know about this, as we already know about this, what the fuck am I saying? As we already know about this, Warner Brothers is splitting up itself. So with the whole merger with Warner Brothers Discovery and Warner Brothers Media. So AEW is part of Warner Brothers Discovery, which has TNT, Discovery, and all the channels that you know about. That's all the side of the Warner Brothers Discovery side. So Warner Brothers Discovery is splitting up to be its own entity moving forward and stuff. This is going to be its own entity of the moving forward situation. But at the end of the day, it's going to have TNT, TBS, and where AEW, Dynamite, and Collision air on, basically. Those places. But what does this change for AEW's pay-per-view home, where they stream their pay-per-views? Because currently they're on HBO Max, $50 a buck. Or if you are a Max subscriber, then you can basically get it for $40. That's what they cost. I would not do that. but whatever. Somebody want to do that. That's something. Not always, sometimes maybe, but it's like you really don't want to do that. I mean, let's not get it twisted. We're not gonna fucking talk about the product, but that last year for AEW, the shows last year were the fucking worst they've ever been. They were never that fucking bad. They're never that fucking bad that I'm gonna point out that they were that bad. Oh boy, they were that bad. They were legit one of the most uneventful, fucking dragged down shit, just boring ass real grabs pro wrestling on the fucking show, which does not involve any emotion and care to begin with, basically. It doesn't give two fucks about what you want. You want emotion, you want care. No, watch these guys do fucking great acrobats and fucking stunts at the end of the day and live your fucking life on, basically. Watch the show, pay $40 a pop. That's what you do, or pay $50 if you don't have HBO Max at your disposal. But at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's not about how bad the shows were last year, because, I mean, they were bad. We don't want to talk about that because they were the worst that they had ever been since the beginning of AEW. Like, let's not get it twisted. They were really bad fucking shows. We got Wrestle Dream and Dynasty to prove that one of the worst wrestling AEW shows I have ever fucking watched. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Wrestle Dream was a dragged down dog shit show. Again, we're not going to talk about the product, but get an example. But that's just the way to get this shit off my chest a little bit. If I didn't go live about it, if I didn't talk about it before, back in October, you're Wrestling with Spades, we will talk about it right now, and if it comes to that, we'll talk about it again. So with the Netflix situation, people are like, oh, WWE's gonna bury AEW, AEW is not gonna be okay with it, and the whole situation, and it's just not gonna start there. We're gonna get into the whole Brody King situation too. It's controversial. It's something we do discuss. We have wrestling and politics involved, so when it relates to, it's related to pro wrestling, so it's going to be mentioned nonetheless, because it's really related to it at the end of the day, and we're going to talk about it. We're not just going to sweep it under the bus and, hey, fuck it, forget about it. Who gives two shits? No, we don't. This is where we talk about that kind of shit. At the end of the day, it's a really difficult situation that Tony Khan has put himself in, with the whole merger and how you want to upset Trump and they don't want to hear shit like that, where we're going to get into what is the major topic about that. And how Netflix is basically trying to acquire the rights, but at the same time now WB is changing their mind. So now they might be heading over to Paramount. Now, how does that benefit AEW? I don't know. Again, we don't know if AEW is going to be streamed all over Paramount Plus or not. If it's going to be streamed over Netflix, that's up in the debate, man. That's up to debate, really. That's not even realistic anymore, because when more news coming up on this shit, more shit unfolding, you get to understand where we're coming from on that, definitely. There's more on that, there's more on that to understand where we're coming from. So basically, it's quite not a done situation for Netflix acquiring AEW, whole fucking forget about AEW. It's about just rights of WBD. So, no, they're not. And it might be changed over to Paramount, and how that benefits. If Paramount really wants to put AEW in their business, because there's another thing on Paramount that people don't fucking want to talk about, and it's TKO. At the end of the day, TKO and UFC does their pay-per-views on Paramount, or they're streamed on Paramount. They got some millions of like $1 billion deal on Paramount or something. 1.2 billion. Or 2 billion something. 2.5. I don't know. Got a big ass deal on Paramount, UFC to stream their shows. and UFC is under the banner of TKO, which is under the banner of TKO. Is not under the banner. Sorry. UFC is in the same banner with WWE. Both companies are merged in one corporation called TKO. TKO Holdings is the company. That is where WWE is under and UFC is under it too. But at the end of the day, it's not about who's better or whatever, whose product. No. It's a difficult situation for AEW. We're going to read more about this moving forward here. So the transaction we negotiated, that was about shareholder value with a clear path to regularity approval. However, we have been disciplined and price required to match Paramount's Skydance's latest offer. The deal is no longer financially attractive, so we are declining for Paramount's Skydance bid. So they're bidding for it, they're not sure, and that's what I mentioned about before. It's getting into a point that where Paramount is getting in on WBD and are asking for what WBD wants, and WBD is a bit more inclined with Paramount. I'm going to move on Dave Zaslav had to say. So Warner Brothers is a world-class organization, and we want to thank David Zaslav and Gunnar Wendidifus and Bruce Campbell, Brad Singer, and WBD board of running a fair and rigorous process. We believe we have been strong stewards of Warner Brothers' iconic brands, and that our deal would have strengthened the entertainment industry, preserved and created more production jobs in the U.S., but transaction was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price. So it's just not about, it's about people losing jobs too, or all that shit basically. But it's not increased that many jobs basically. That's what it's not increased that many jobs for people, production jobs in the U.S. Netflix business is healthy, strong, and growing organically, powered by our slate and best-in-class streaming service. They invest approximately $20 billion in quality films and series, and will expand our entertainment offering consistent with our capital allocation policy. We'll also resume our share repurchase program. We will continue to do what we have done for more than 20 years as a public company, delight our members, profitability, grow our business, and drive long-term shareholder value. So all that shit's going on right now, basically. So that's what's up in debate here, where they're not, they're talking about how much their money have fucking made off the bet, like how Netflix's business is really going good, and that's good for them, I guess, and all that, and all the WBD situations. We're going to read the complete thing for it to finalize with it. Netflix, WBD, in certain respective connection with proposed. Let's put the drum roll here. I guess it's not working. We're going to do the drum joke, folks. Alright, in the connection with proposed transaction between Netflix and WBD, filed a definitive proxy statement on Schedule 14A, the proxy statement with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. The proxy statement was first mailed to WBD stockholders on or around February 17, 2026. Each of Netflix and WBD has all those files are furnished to the subtitle furnished to the SEC or other relevant documents regarding the proposed transaction. This communication is not a substitute for proxy statement or any document that Netflix or WBD may file with SEC are mailed to WBD stockholders in connection with the proposed transactions. Investors and security holders of Netflix and WBD are urged to read the proxy statement as well as any other relevant documents filled with SEC in connection with proposed transaction are incorporated by reference into proxy statement, including any amendments, or supplements thereto, because they will contain important information regarding Netflix, WBD, proposed transaction, and related matters. So a whole bunch of things that are like being checked on, like the transactions and the communication that's not a proxy statement and all that. We're not going to hold that. We're here to talk about AEW, so. Yes, this is what Mike, what's that again? Mike what? I forgot. Mike Johnson from PW Insider, Pro Wrestling Insider, has reported this. It's so Netflix again has not raised the bid, and their interest in Paramount Skydance bid. Their interest in Paramount Skydance's bid, and they want the money off that, definitely. So at the end of the day, it's a situation for WBD to figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to acquire AEW with Discovery? Because the merger, again, the split with WBD Discovery and WBD Media and Entertainment, where you got your HBO Max and all the other stuff, where all the catalog of HBO shows and Game of Thrones and fucking Sopranos and all the whatever shows you want to talk about are there. Euphoria, whatever. So that's, but for the standing of AEW, where would AEW land? Netflix is still not over it, but they clearly have declined their raise. So apparently it's being bought by Paramount. Now we're not sure if it's completely confirmed, but Netflix is not raising their offer. So now Warner is trying to bid with Paramount, Skydance, which is important. Again, this is where if AEW lands here, it's what's to say about that at the end of the day. But yeah, that's Pro Wrestling 101. You can't. That's just not pro wrestling. It's fucking politics and whatever the hell. That's what else there's to be top of that. Some more news on Mike Johnson's PW Insider related to AEW here a little bit. So recently it's come up again. Warner Brothers Discovery Board of Directors determines a proposal in New York. Warner Brothers Discovery company has been shared. I don't know what has to do. So we already discussed what's going to happen with AEW. At the end of the day, this is the information that we don't want to talk about right here. So we're going to move out of that way, and we're going to talk about what else is up on PW Insider. So you got a ton of news of PW Insider with you with whatever that's coming up. All pro wrestling news. A lot of shit's going on. We'll be right back with it.
Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM. Powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside.
This is the Wrestling is SPADES Podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Wrestling is SPADES.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside.
More news on the whole situation here. All right. ICE. Not really getting more politics here, but pro wrestling is being dominated by this. Even being mentioned on freaking Jamie Oliver. Are you fucking kidding me? Jamie Oliver. Where AEW headlined. Where he talked about it twice, folks. He talked about it twice. He did. He definitely did. You can check it out on HBO Max. Or any other network you want to check it out on, where Jamie Oliver's episode of ICE where AEW was a focus on it, not for the wrestling product, man, not for the wrestling product, not for how good their product is. It had nothing to do with anything what the pro wrestling product was. It was all about what the crowd was chanting. They were chanting "fuck ice" in a wrestling show. They were chanting "fuck ice." That's to tell, you can fucking even think how it works, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, you want to keep your politics out of professional wrestling, keep the real world shit out of what an escape is. And that's professional wrestling. A sport of entertainment that just keeps you out of that world, out of the misery and out of the politics and the depth of whatever the shit's going on in the world, and it's scary and all the fucking homicides and genocides and where the hell is going on in the world. It just tries to keep you out of it. It's an escape. Pro wrestling is definitely an escape for that. For real life situations in your life, where pro wrestling is meant for that, basically. Pro wrestling is a real life escape. And when it's being mentioned in pro wrestling, and now it's getting traction with AEW, that's why AEW has been a bit buzzing, not for their pro wrestling product, really, more so because of what they have their talents go out and promote. Not promote, but basically voice their opinions on Warner and WBD television. Now, with the whole Netflix merger I was talking about before, that goes out of the way because now Netflix has increased their values. No, they haven't actually. My bad. They haven't. Folks, the joke's on me. They haven't increased their values, really. They have reduced them, or they haven't really at the same time. They have not decided to increase their values at the end of the day. They don't want to increase the value, what they are paying WBD for this, how much money they're paying David Zaslav and Campbell and all those guys over there. They're paying them for that much money. And they chose to not increase their value. WBD wanted more value, and WBD's not heading over to that side. But it did so even when AEW has a show where in the main event of the show people are chanting "fuck ice," and I'm going to mention this again, it was on Jamie Oliver quite a few times. So many times. I mean, like, fuck ice. It was all over the place. It's not like All In Wrestling was trending because of that, and it's been trending this past few weeks and whatever. So at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we love this shit. We love pro wrestling as an escape from that. But at the end of the day, it's again the whole Netflix situation's not happening. You don't know about how Trump is involved in that, and how is Trump gonna okay the deal, or is Trump gonna, because Trump would see something like this, fuck ice, and on AEW program, would this put AEW in hot water or whatever? It can put AEW in hot water eventually, because if it actually starts trending in globally and it shows voicing opinions, then it can hand because Shad Khan, Tony Khan's father, he the co-owner, or the guy who's basically funding the thing for Tony Khan to run AEW, has basically donated quite to Trump's campaign or something. So from that case, it's they're really good friends, and Tony doesn't want to really mess up that with that whole deal with Netflix that's coming out. They don't want to mess it up for Netflix, for WBD. WB on their hand is asking for more money and more. They've raised more prices. They want, and Netflix is not gonna go past what they have offered them. And at the end of the day, it's not about that. We're talking about pro wrestling, and where AEW lies, that's a different thing. But again, it's really funny to me. We're having this is what Tony Khan does at the end of the day. He allows his talent to go out there and fucking be free. And voice their opinions about political beliefs, like whatever they believe, and they're gonna put it out there. Somebody's gonna say, fuck Hamas or whatever. And they're gonna fucking say it. Like, basically, somebody's gonna say whatever the shit they wanna say. Because it's allowed for all elite wrestling wrestlers to go out there and put out whatever the fuck they want to say. Like Brody King had a shirt, I think back in July or August, which said "Abolish ICE," or June. I think it was back in Grand Slam Mexico when they went to Mexico, when they did that collab with CMLL a little bit too, whatever. When they were in Mexico for Grand Slam Mexico, so Brody King at that time had a shirt called "Abolish ICE." But now, when anytime Brody King's things comes up, now people voice their opinion. And again, you don't want to talk about this. This is another topic. This is not pro wrestling related. Like, what does this have to do with what I'm watching? Yeah, you can chant "fuck ICE" as much as you want, but what the hell does it have to do? Sure, you're voicing your opinions, you're letting the fucking world know, you're letting Donald Trump know, you're letting the fucking Senate, fucking everybody know at the end of the day. But you're not gonna, ruin pro wrestling for that sake. You're not just gonna. So AEW is not as bit of a hot water, but again, this situation, man, this can get bad, and they can land in some hot water because this fuck ICE shit is not gonna stop. It's been chanted in fucking Australia of all places. But AEW just recently went over to Australia with Grand Slam Australia, which they did in Sydney. So this shit is not going anywhere really. Brody King's character, of how he's presented and how they basically allow him to do whatever the fuck he wants and basically speak his mind and be free and basically whatever he feels about stuff and just put it on television for fans to know, and it's going to trend everywhere. So it might lead AEW in some hot water eventually. It might not happen that quickly, but it's going to happen. Because, this shit cannot just keep on going. And we, again, at the same time, we just want to escape from the real life situations to watch pro wrestling and, to be part of that world, to ingrain ourselves in pro wrestling. And it's an escape from the shit that's happening outside, because in reality, and it's fucking ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's funny that this shit is actually really going top tier in wherever it's going up at the end of the day. It is really hilarious to me. I find it quite funny. More on that. So, Brody can feel whatever the fuck he wants to feel at the end of the day, but it's like, maybe keep it away from pro wrestling, but at the same time, this shit can go sideways for AEW, and we don't know where it's going to land. What situations are going to land for that, you can't tell shit about it, basically, at the end of the day. A little an Eddie Kingston update. We're going to learn more shit about this here, about Eddie Kingston. There's more to talk about that here with Eddie Kingston and his... also Vince McMahon's car wreck. Oh, that was an interesting to see, which probably we're not talking about. We're not. And there's no point in talking about that. So, and the whole WBD shit and all that, that's up to debate. You can mention it as much as you want, but it's the whole situation. That's a different situation going on right now. Other news, let's talk about Eddie Kingston. So, per Mike Johnson on PW Insider, Pro Wrestling Insider, AEW star Eddie Kingston is not at tonight's AEW Dynamite taping in Denver. So, what date is today? So, maybe it's a little late, but again, he's not there, and he's been dealing with several marriage headaches and attending to his health. So there's something going on with Eddie Kingston. I've not seen Eddie Kingston either. I watched fucking Collision to get my timepiece to that fucking garbage of the show, because again, grabs for the sake of fucking indie wrestling grabs. I don't give a fuck about that. tuning into just guys I don't give a fuck about it and no emotion care for the show. Like, give me story, give me a reason to wait, give me dialogue, give me fucking something of like characters that you wanna. And they're not even good. The dialogues are worse on Collision. So please, let's not even fucking go there. At the end of the day, so Eddie Kingston is again not doing too well. That's one of the most keen things to know about. Let's talk about another thing. WrestleMania 42 per Mike Johnson. Ticket holders for WrestleMania 42 in PW Insider has reported that ticket holders for WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas have receiving emails at 5 that live event at Allegiant Stadium will now start at an hour earlier, originally scheduled 2:30 p.m. local time. So that's something to know about for people who want to go there and want to spend their money towards a WrestleMania show. So that's up to debate for people at the end of the day. But again, we can discuss a little more about the AEW Warner Brothers Discovery again, whole situation and where they're gonna land. If they land on Paramount, that's again for the whole situation with how TKO was comfortable with AEW being, because TKO holders, Nick Khan is not a huge fan of AEW. We don't know about what Mark Shapiro and Mark Shapiro, I think, and who's the other one? Fucking forget their names basically. The TKO holders, Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro, what they feel about the business they want to do, and if they're okay with AEW being on Paramount, because they're the holders of TKO and they hold the ownership of UFC and WWE, but UFC, and which UFC is on Paramount. So I guess that's kind of a situation. But at the end of the day, it's what it is. It's what it is, and you can do nothing about it. It's pro wrestling, it's the whole shebang, and like, it's what it is at the end of the day. It's questionable what's the situation and all that, but it's pro wrestling for you, one-on-one. So more on now, Davey Boy Smith's Hall of Fame ring that has been recovered. Let's get into that here. A little scoop here, folks. It's a little fun. Harry Smith, aka Davey Boy Smith Jr., announced that his father's WWE Hall of Fame ring has been recovered after Smith's gear bag was stolen yesterday in Canada when the ring's tuck for Canadian Wrestling's Elite was broken, and while parked at a hotel, promotion was staying in overnight. On his Facebook page, Smith announced someone attempted to pawn the ring, and the police were called, which obviously holds a lot of value because it's a fucking Hall of Fame ring. There is no word whether Smith's other possessions or the CWE Tag Team Championship belt were also recovered, nor whether there was any arrest made. So, good on getting his dad's ring back, Hall of Fame ring. I mean, Davey Boy Smith Jr. got his dad's ring back. Whatever. But so again, this whole Paramount situation, it helps out one or the other. I don't know if it really helps out AEW and how beneficial for AEW. We see what's to come, but that's the major situation that's going on right now. I'll update you more when we have more news related to that, definitely. We're more to hear more news on we have here. How much money is this week? Remember. So Vince has been reimbursed about how much money? Okay. Let's get into this. This is gonna be a little fun one. The Big Mac Man, folks. So, WWE released the following details of the company's connection to Vince McMahon as part of documents filed with SEC related to TKO's earnings reported today, including noting that McMahon has reimbursed the company over $12 million related to the WWE Board of Directors. Investigation of McMahon resulted in Janel Grant lawsuit being filed and eventual exit post sale from TKO. You know, I find it really interesting that Vince, again, you know, this son of a bitch gets out of something. He just gets out. This woman just want to get paid. I mean, she got more than fucking laid at the end of the day, but you know what I'm saying. She got what she, you know, whatever happened with her. I don't know. It's a disgusting thing at the end of the day that Vince gets out of this shit all over again. And I'm again the camp of Boog where I don't fucking want Vince back in the pro wrestling scene. Neither I want the dude back on the wrestling rug team because, I mean, let's be real. If anything is that bad, bro, it can be worse. It can be really that bad. And Triple H is a fucking clown. He's gone so fucking soft. He's not that hungry anymore. So get out of here with that shit. Nothing's helping right now. Vince K. McMahon was served as executive chair of the company's board of directors, TKO, until January 26, 2024. Previous controlled a significant portion of voting interests of the issue and outstanding shares of company common stock. Mr. McMahon has agreed to make future payments to certain counterparties personally in the accordance at CSC staff's accounting bulletin topic 5T. Miscellaneous accounting for expenses and liabilities paid by principal stockholders. Company included that could be recognized by the company, and the payments are considered as non-cash capital contributions and included as components of prime stockholding statements of stockholders and equity/net parent investment. So $12 million fucking dollars, this guy's earned. Good for him, but fucking out of here. Has been reimbursed by WWE. Or sorry, Vince has reimbursed WWE with $12 million. Because I mean, he took a lot of money fucking out of here, out of WWE definitely. In connection with the acquisition, WWE company assumed $3.5 million of liabilities related to future payments owed by Mr. McMahon to certain counterparties. During the year ended December 31st, 2023, the company had recorded $3.5 million expenses associated with payments made directly by Mr. McMahon to certain counterparties. Costs included with selling and general administrative expenses in our collided statements. During the years, Mr. McMahon payments of $1.5 million and $5.5 million were respectively associated with these liabilities to certain counterparties. At the end December 31st, 2023, company recorded $3.5 million of costs associated with payments made directly by Mr. McMahon related to WWE's global headquarters lease. These costs are included with finance, lease, right of use, assets that are consolidated, balance sheets. Since these liabilities existed when Mr. McMahon controlled a significant portion of the voting interests of the company common stock, these payments are considering non-cash capital contributions and are included as principal stockholder contributions and are consolidated statements of stockholders equity/net parent investment in consolidation in connection with and or arising from investigation conducted by a special committee of the former WWE Board of Directors. Has agreed to reimburse the company money for additional costs incurred in connection with and or arising with same matters. During the year's end, December 31st, 2024 and 2023, Mr. McMahon reimbursed the company with $6.4 million and $5.8 million, respectively. And associated with these costs, these payments are considered capital contributions, are included as principal stockholder contributions and are consolidated information of stockholders equity/net parent investment. PW Insider reports this. At the end of the day, the dude took as much money he wanted to fucking take. with the whole fucking thing going with Janel Grant. We, if you check out season 3 of the Wrestling is Spades podcast. It was called the Wrestling is Serious podcast before, folks. It's no longer the Wrestling is Serious podcast. It's the Wrestling is Spades podcast. If you checked out season 3, episode 9 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it's not episode 9, but it's one of the episodes we're here to talk about. Here, definitely going to mention you which one was it. Per more on this, we're going to get into more about this later on, about the whole situation with Fightful 2. What has Fightful reported? We need to talk about what is going on. We have to get in more shit that's being reported right now. But the whole situation with Vince is how much, he took money out of the company and how much debt, he was not in debt or something, probably. I don't know if it was in debt. I mean, he got paid a lot. He got fucking paid a lot, okay? We know that. He got paid the most for giving the rights to TKO for buying WWE. He got paid like $1 billion, at least. $1.2 billion, I believe he got paid. So he made us a lot of billionaire out of that, whatever. And then he basically took his stockings and whatever investments he made, he took them back at the end of the day. So whatever stocks he has, he took them back. But at the end of the day, this whole situation, it again leads to the whole Janel Grant situation, the whole lawsuits and the stuff where his situation is whatever it is. And we covered this on episode where we're going to talk about here, where we talked about this. If you don't know about this episode, go to Spotify, Wrestling with Spade. It's our episode from season 3, where we talk about the whole Vince McMahon situation, where I believe it's one of them definitely where we're talking about it. Yeah, it's about 25 minutes maybe, I don't know, but it's about Brock, and it might be about it's more focused on Brock, but at the end of the day, it's about the whole lawsuit and everything that's about it. It's a complicated situation at the end of the day, folks. It's not something that's like just sweep it under the bus and who can fucking forget about it. Nobody cares, but it's what the situation was when Brock came back, which also is reported as the most disgusting tactic done by a wrestling company, being in WWE. So at the end of the day, that's the situation about that. But let's get into more about Janel Grant, where we need to more find about what's going on there. So hold on tight. That's going to get a little bumpy. We're talking about the Janel Grant lawsuit a little bit too again, and more on that coming up.
Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
So, folks, at the end of the day, what a man does is absolutely disgusting, but, if you're going to want to talk about the whole Janel Grant topic, we're not going to talk about that, because it's been discussed in episode, we're going to put it out there. I'm going to put it out there right now. Episode 5, season 3 was discussed. Whole Brock situation about Janel Grant and what happened to her. Basically, Vince, what he did, a whole sexual allegations, which are not allegations, they're probably realistic things that happened. People call them allegations at the end of the day. You know what Vince is. We saw him as a character. People who are fucking 40-year-olds, how old you are, you who ever watched growing up WWE, who knows what Vince is. You watched the Attitude Era, you've seen what this guy is. That's not a fucking character. That's more to it. And you can't tell me this motherfucker was not enjoying it. Definitely. The sick fuck at the end of the day. He talks about in his fucking documentary that his brain's thinking about fucking, one of his brains thinking about something really fun, and that includes sex. So, in the Mr. McMahon documentaries, he talks about it. So, wow, thank you for your information, Vince. Like, we didn't know, we weren't so blind that we couldn't see through our televisions that what the fuck you were doing all those years with all these women talent and whatever. So, Janel Grant was another victim of Vince McMahon. Ashley Massaro, you know the story about that. That woman, whatever happened to her, God, I wish that never happens to anybody. It was like fucking like the whole situation where she got fucking paralyzed with fucking injected with some paralyzed thing, and basically got drugged, and that paralyzed her. Some drug that they basically fucking injected some serum of what the fuck they injected into her that basically got her paralyzed. She wasn't feeling that well. She went to a doctor. The doctor did this, and this fucking military local doctor that basically fucking raped her. And then she tried to speak up about it, and basically they shushed her, and basically, bro, she ended up fucking dying, or she ended up taking her own fucking life. We don't need to discuss this. Her situation ended in a really bad case. Ashley Massaro's situation. It was bad. It was really bad. But at the end of the day, it's not about Ashley Massaro. It's about how many victims are of Vince McMahon's case. Recent victim is Janel Grant, who was, if you read the lawsuit, you know what happened. And you know what happened with Janel Grant. And what texts Vince sent her about what he would do with her, what he let her, and the fucking Michael Hayes, all the fucking, I don't know who, board of directors, whoever was in the room, who let her fucking rape or whatever. I don't know what the fuck was going on. There were a lot of people involved in this. A lot of people. Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon, there were a lot of people involved in this Janel Grant lawsuit. A lot of people. It was just not like it was just Vince. It was Paul Levesque was involved in it too, but there were multiple and a lot of people were involved in this shit. At the end of the fucking day, it just doesn't fucking go away. It doesn't. Janel Grant, Vince McMahon, and WWE agreed to June arbitration hearing where. So it's an agreed to June arbitration hearing. The latest of the lawsuit between Janel Grant and WWE and Vince McMahon. In a new filing, it has been revealed that Grant, McMahon, and WWE have agreed to an arbitration hearing. I want to zoom in here, definitely, folks, about talking about this. Please take notice that the undersigned parties have conferred regarding the directives outlined in court's order and dated February 6, 2026, ESF number 130, respectively submit this notice. Parties agreed to respectively propose following briefing schedule for defense motions, couple aberrations, plainful motions to lethal. What is aberrations? Whatever the hell, we don't need to read that shit. It's just, it's made of like, it's about the whole law and whatever, okay, it's deadline for plaintiffs' opposition to motions, combo abbreviation, and to any renewal or of plaintiffs' motions for reason to take discovery relating to the motion. Parties are agreed to respectively propose a date in June 26 for oral argument on defendants' motions to compel arbitration with exception of following dates: June 9, 10th, June 22, June 26. So this whole situation is going into where a hearing where now they're gonna argue over that, where a settlement will be made, and Vince is gonna fucking get out of this one too. Vince is gonna skedaddle out of this situation after what the fuck he did to this woman and what a victim she was. The dude should honestly learn, and he needs to control it, man. The dude just can't control. It's a fucking rapist at the end of the day. Put this motherfucker on the Epstein Island. Who could fucking cares? Vince McMahon, put him on the fucking Epstein Island with Trump, because that's the McMahons and Trumps. I mean, some people think alike. They really think alike, don't they? And they're great friends because because all of them are fucking rapists at the end of the day. All these other fucking fucks, straight up, get out of here. So at the end of the day, Janel Grant's former WWE employee filed a lawsuit in January 2024 against Vince McMahon, WWE John Laurinaitis. Not a defendant, but a guy forgot officer number 2 or whatever the fuck his name was in the lawsuit that I read. And it was very well described, and that episode came out back in August of 2025 when Brock Lesnar came back to clear out that Brock Lesnar is not he's not accused, and he's accused for of being part of it, but at the end of the day, he didn't do anything, but he could have done something, so that also cures what kind of fucking freak is this fuck? Because he really liked what Vince McMahon showed her and fucking negotiated that to sign a fucking contract with it, so good job. The lawsuit accuses McMahon of sexual assault and sex trafficking, which again, that's very, you've seen it if you've seen those fucking text messages. From TKO, such that even following the lawsuit being filed, Laurinaitis has since been dropped from the lawsuit. Apparently, I don't know what the fuck happened with that. Either she made it up, you don't fucking know. It's a fucking situation that nobody fucking knows really that much. So Grant also did a sexual violence event to end sexual violence. Okay, that's a cool thing. She's standing up for herself against Vince McMahon, who fucking, what the fuck, he shat on her, pissed on her, and the fuck he did. He, basically fucked her, with a bunch of, fisted on her, it was disgusting, okay? You need to read the fucking, and how he fucking had these, Laurinaitis and all the fucking guys that were involved in it. There were some officer brand something names. I don't remember their fucking names, but they were they're WWE officers that were fucking involved in this shit. Get the fuck out of here with that, honestly. It's absolutely disgusting, and whoever's involved in this should come out. But I don't think they're gonna come out. Vince is gonna fucking win the case. He's gonna pay her as much money for the reason she came out to talk about this, because at the end of the day, I don't know if she was enjoying this or not, but again, Vince took advantages of a fucking woman and basically took them, and she was taking the money for it, and then he stopped giving the money, and basically that's where she dropped a fucking lawsuit on him for sexually assaulting her and whatever the hell she did. So it's a who's who situation at the end of the day. Janel Grant says that requested she make joint statement saying relationship with Vince McMahon was consensual. So now she's come out and said her relationship with Vince was consensual. I find this so fucking hilarious. She's getting paid, and well, there we go. Let's read more about this shit, man. It doesn't get more funny than this. The way she describes everything in the lawsuit, I mean, I can believe Vince that because again, what we've seen from Vince on the fucking Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, whatever he's done with all these women, how the segments were produced and how over the top sexual they were for a boss's fetishes, basically. It was apparent to every wrestling viewer who watched it on television. It was apparent. Let's not get it twisted, okay? Let's not get it twisted. So at the end of the day, it's what the whole situation accounts for, but Vince McMahon is definitely should be guilty of what the fuck he did, but this woman is saying apparently it was consensual, which I find hard to believe. I find it really hard to believe because I can see Vince McMahon. He fucking admits it on his goddamn documentary where it's Mr. McMahon. He basically says that I have a fucking multiple robots in my brain or whatever, fucking robots in my head or whatever, computers running in my head, and one of those computers is doing something fun, and that's basically fucking sex at the end of the day. So if the dude has computers running in his brain that think about fun and that's sex, so what that tells you that that's his mind and that's what he fucking does, and he has so much money that he can fucking get away with whatever the fuck he wants, put this motherfucker in the Epstein Island and forget about him. At the end of the day, who gives a fuck, honestly? Who gives a fuck? Just put him on the Epstein Island and forget about it, really. Just fucking forget about the guy. We don't care. Same thing about his pro wrestling work that he's done. It was shit, and that's why he was. Thank God we don't want Vince back for the product. No, you don't. Because if you thought Raw was bad, oh boy, we'll get back to all the muscly fucking segments and all the reality garbage that we were getting before with Vince. Don't get me started on it. So this is what Vince says at the end of the day, not news. But again, if Janel Grant's come out, I mean, she got a sweet-ass payment for that. What else I'm going to say? She got a sweet-ass fucking payment for that. And that payment was definitely that sweet that I don't know what happened, that she's come out and said that everything was consensual, but we read those texts, we read the lawsuit, we read who was involved in it, and if you read it, you would know about it. And I talk about it in episode 5, season 3 of the Wrestling is Spades podcast, formerly known as the Wrestling Series podcast. What the hell? Anyways,
Powered by Riverside. Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Janel Grant, a former WWE employee, filed a lawsuit on January 24th against Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis. The lawsuit accused McMahon of sexual assault and sex trafficking. McMahon resigned from TKO/WWE following the lawsuit being filed. Laurinaitis has since been dropped from the lawsuit on Thursday. Grant spoke at Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence. I really shouldn't be here by a series of miracles that I can't account for. I'm alive today. On June 15, 2022, my life was rewritten into someone else's storyline, and I was globally outed by Wall Street Journal. She said that she got a call that wasn't expected while she was at her new job in front of her new bosses and a high raise of residents. At any minute, the Wall Street Journal would be publishing a story about me, Vince McMahon, and a non-disclosure agreement. I was told if anybody asked me about this, I can't make a comment, I can't acknowledge it, I can't say I'm not okay. If anybody approached me, I can acknowledge years of life that anybody who saw me live it. Basically, she comes out to say, hey, Vince did all this shit to me, but again, well, now she's like, it's consensual, we're gonna do that. Why shit, it's consensual, weirdly. I mean, obviously it was consensual, you could tell. I mean, we didn't hear about this until she was not getting paid. When that payment stopped from Vince about all the sexual deeds that he was doing to her, and how he was doing, spreading those sexual deeds with other people too, and involving other fucking board of directors of WWE in between, you could tell. You could tell, definitely. Workplace, she said that blacked out and ended up in a closet with a belt and stool under a metal rod. She thanked God somebody saw her and stopped it. Workspace safety depends on transparency. when employees cannot speak, patterns can't be seen. When patterns can't be seen, they can be stopped. When they can be stopped, harm spreads, and when an NDA is used to conceal dangerous behavior, it simply relocates the harm to the next employee, the next office, next victim. No one should be required to trade silence for accountability, and no workspace should be safer for an institution than the people inside. That's what she says about this shit, basically. She said that she was being watched in her live play for a window. She only went outside 10 times due to level of threat. Grant spoke out of corrective control, which is continuous patterns of behavior that are intended to exert power or control over survivors. She mentioned the NDA. There are a lot of people living and working in fear in Connecticut. She said, let her story be a cautionary tale of what you don't want in an NDA. There are 5 intersections and associated with NDA: federal criminal investigation by DOJ, and SEC investigation, shareholder suit, and a Second Circuit decision, and my civil suit. The NDA was a tool that Vince could use to justify anything while I remained a victim of exploitation and in position for anyone to exploit me. She was fucking exploited by everybody. At the end of the day. The Wall Street Journal exploited her. How consensual the deeds that Vince McMahon did to her sexually, I can't comment on that, because again, if you read the lawsuit, you know what that fuck did. You know, and if you've seen the Attitude Era, you've seen him on television as a wrestling viewer. He belongs on the fucking Epstein Island, honestly. By the end of the day, that's the case, you know. He ain't worse than fucking Epstein or Diddy. Let's not get it twisted. Okay, he's not. Who knows, he might be a fucking pedophile too. So more on this. She says basically that she said the company reached out and requested that I made a joint statement that was consensual relationship, and that they wanted to know that this was the extent that I needed or wanted something, aka more money on the table. I refused. So she refused that joint statement. That statement came out that it was a consensual relationship. But at the same time, it wasn't. He was doing shit to her that she didn't ask for. And he was raping her, sexually assaulting her, doing his goddamn what the fuck he was doing. He's a fucking sicko, a scumbag, a fucking sex deviant. There's more words to describe it. A sex addict like no one tomorrow, honestly. A sex addict on a level of 1,000, a million, of an infinity number of sex addicts. That's what Vince McMahon is. She said the company announced an investigation that she gave permission to participate, which is not considered as a breach. This summer, I spent 6 figures to participate in the investigation on legal retainers and medical care for my life. I preserved my evidence and believed I would interviewed for investigation and would get my life back. When the feds reached out ahead of speaking with me, I was onboarding a new legal team. We gave them the evidence and said to review it in advance based on the objective review of hard evidence, communication with people across the company, including leadership then and now. This was not a covert investigation into human trafficking and the criminal misconduct of WWE, Vince McMahon, and this NDA. She said the feds requested that she say nothing, and this would be covered while they investigated. There are people living, working in a fear in Connecticut, and there is a headquarters in Stamford full of intimidated people that I care about. She said no one answers as to her breaching the NDA. She said in March 23 that she got some kind of whistleblower status from SEC. Days later, Ari Mann announced the Endeavor deal, and the whole shebang happens. They were served and delivered with name and their item, and certain the company paid for participation in investigation. I was out 6 figures. If any posters like isn't serious. They spend serious money on it. She said that she filed a federal civil lawsuit at the last second because she didn't want. She knew that she would turn her life into. She mentioned that the alleged corporate laptop. She was found. Like alleged love letter was found on the corporate fucking laptop. And saying that the article rewrote her life. This was a public humiliation and intimidation that she said in the summer of 2024. Viewers noted that there are parallels between WWE storyline that unfolded for several months and her situation. Does it look like we're working in the same environment when the destination point of a safe environment? You talk about a fucking storyline, and that was not a WWE storyline, I believe. And so viewers noted that there were parallels between the WWE storyline that unfolded for several months and her situation. I don't think working in a safe environment was a WWE storyline. It was definitely an AEW story, not an AEW storyline, but it was about CM Punk and the AEW shit. I don't think it has anything to do with WWE. It has to do with AEW here, but whatever the fuck. I guess they're not gonna mention that. I don't care. You can correct me if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know, but I think what I can, from my own accountability, not my own accountability, what I've learned about it, or what I was watching at that time, or what's going on is not about WWE, it was AEW and the whole working in a safe environment. And I don't think that was WWE related. Like a storyline about working in an unsafe environment. I don't know. Or either it was the Drew McIntyre shit that was going on with CM Punk, the feud over there, where it was an unsafe environment for Drew McIntyre, he's being attacked or whatever, trying to pull that in the storyline. Be reality into fucking fiction at the end of the day, whatever. She said to make change, you need to show up, especially in a tough conversation to the board of TKO. If you don't know this part of your origin story, now you know you will have conversations with us. I will hope you conversations with yourself and you inside leadership, perhaps stepping in the unknown with her heart. Janel Grant, a former WWE employee, filed a lawsuit. So she's taking her back, her thing, and she's basically saying that it was consensual. Which, yes, I can believe it was, but we don't want to, but it's funny that she's out here saying that shit now, because, it was very consensual that she was getting paid all that amount of fucking money at the end of the day. And she was, I don't know how much she was liking it, and how much she was putting her own fucking health at stake, that she took this much money for the sake of being fucking raped by the board of directors in WWE, John Laurinaitis, I don't know who the fuck, Michael Hayes. I can even see Bruce Pritchard being part of this. There's plenty of litter of guys who were part of this fucking thing. We can ask fucking ChatGPT to talk about it even. We can just ask ChatGPT right now. If I'm not mistaken right now, let's ask ChatGPT right now. And let ChatGPT get.
Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
So, folks,
If you have, yeah, absolutely.
back at it again. We're back at it again, folks. At the end of the day, we're back at it again, and let's get kicking off, man. So, well, the whole situation about, so we already knew, like, who was involved, and where the fuck are these corporate guys, again, I forgot their name, Brad Blum, Brian Nurse, the global ambassadors, or whatever the fuck, of WWE, Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon, these officers were named. Now, we're not sure who did Vince McMahon did not oust in them, including John Laurinaitis and himself and Michael Hayes. Bro, I guess even fucking Bruce Pritchard, you cannot tell me that they were not involved in this. They were fucking in his boot camp, and we know it at the end of the day, so. And then Janel Grant comes out and said this relationship was consensual, it's what it is, Vince is getting away with it. He's a fucking pervert sex addict who thinks about sex, and at the end of the day, in his brain, that's what Vince McMahon is in real life. We know that, we've seen him on television, and how he's portrayed, and how he acts like on television. We know that because it's really obvious. Let's not get it twisted. Whole Ashley Massaro thing that happened in 2005, 20 years ago or something, where she got raped by an Iraqi guy, a military, whatever, doctor. So, this is very well known information, like. And then Vince basically hushed her, and Vince tried to basically have sleep with her too. Like, we know this. Vince wanted to do that. It was apparent, and she declined it. And basically, that's what got her fucking embarrassed. Or he embarrassed her on live television. And even Netflix in the documentary really puts him in bad light there and shows us the reality of what Vince is, basically. And people try to fucking forget it. But don't forget it, honestly. But that's on the lawsuit, and it's what it is. What can you do about it? Moving on. We'll be right back, folks. Stay in tune with the Wrestle with Spades podcast.
Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside. Powered by Riverside. Powered by Riverside. Powered by by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM. Powered by Riverside FM.
Moron. I'm constantly like morons, but sorry, whatever. Jericho. We're gonna end with this probably. Chris Jericho, firmly under AEW contract, believed to have deal frozen. That's where it gets a little interesting, folks. Jericho is in some water that I don't know what kind of water he's in right now, but it's not hot water. I mean, he has been in hot water, but he's been accused of sexual misconduct, I believe, right? Allegations against him that came out in the end of 2023. We definitely know about those allegations and shit like that. Whatever, but against Riley Reid, who was the WWE Evolved not too long ago. But here now we're going to first go over Bronson Reed's comments on his injury, which is quite important to know. So per Mike Johnson on PW Insider, Bronson Reed took to Twitter last night writing about his Raw injury. Appreciate the kind word. I'll be back better than ever, causing destruction like no one else can. So apparently Bronson Reed got injured on Raw. I don't watch Raw because, let's be real here, folks, WWE is not putting out a great product. And you'll be hearing more about that on the Unscripted Kayfabe, where we only talk about the product. The product, and if it's that bad, then you will hear harsh words about WWE from me. Not the nicest things, really. Those things are definitely not the nicest things. They're not. Those are harsh words. I appreciate the kind words, but at the end of the day, the product's not that great, so I'm not watching Monday Night Raw. I'm not watching WWE. Either if I watch, I skip. I just don't tune in. I'm not interested in really giving my time to the shows because they're not intriguing enough for me to care, honestly. AEW is right now, and we're going to get into that on the Unscripted Kayfabe, where we only talk about the wrestling product, and we're talking about how bad or good the product is. Outside the product is illegal. We don't mention anything outside the product. It is wrestling ingrained product. The stories, the TV, the product we watch, we talk about it in a really honest opinions and in an honest way, and it's nothing that's scripted about that, because you hear that from the heart. You hear that from the Spader's heart, and you hear that from the Wrestling of Spades podcast, never, probably. You'll hear that only from the Unscripted Kayfabe, where it's Spader, not Spades. More on that later on. But at the end of the day, that's where we talk about the product. So again, I've not watched Raw, so this whole injury and whatever's going on, it's funny to me. It's honestly funny to me that Seth Rollins, at the latter half of 2025, he faked, quote unquote, don't quote me on this or whatever, I don't give a fuck what you do, but he faked an injury. He did. He faked an injury to sell to the fans that it was a work. He basically, it's talked about in the Unreal, they faked the entire fucking thing. The whole plan of how we thought it was an injury, it was never even gonna be an injury at the end of the day. Faked the entire thing. The entire thing was fucking fake from the beginning. So He faked an injury to sell a story where he comes back and nobody expects him. He cashes in the championship when CM Punk is down and dirty, just down and at his knees. He's fucking won the championship. He's celebrating. He's getting his tears out. But Seth goes out there. He has the money in the bank. He fucking cashes in and he screws him over. They want to have that. They want to get the moment. That's what Triple H wants out of these fucking moments. That's what he fucking wants for WWE. It's not about stories. It's about fucking moments. All the whole bullshit about we're like Marvel. We tell stories like Marvel. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. You don't. You don't tell stories like Marvel. First of all. And all you want is a moment, and a moment. So you can get your trending online with moments, and you can have moments and great moments, but you don't care about story, you don't care about fucking the story, and you don't care about the product, honestly. So fuck out of here with that shit. So that's what his opinion was, and cares about moments, and that's what he wanted to do, and he was really into selling that because it would be a great moment, and it was a great moment. It was definitely a great moment of how he cashed in. One of the greatest Money in the Bank cash-ins of all time, honestly. Like how he came back was a great moment. But karma is a bitch, folks. Karma is definitely a bitch because Bronson Reed goes down. Before that, Braun Breaker went down, and Seth Rollins went down, a crown jewel. The guy who basically faked his own injury to sell us a story for us to believe that he was actually, quote-unquote, really injured, he went fucking down. And then his entire group that he had, that group also went down. So now fucking Bronson Reed's out. It sucks for him because, again, he's missing WrestleMania season. Or WrestleMania at the end of the day. And now Braun Breaker, who's also missing it. So this injury bug that is caught up, it's because karma is a fucking bitch at the end of the day. You reap what you sow, what you try to do, you try to fake your injury, try to bullshit the media, try to bullshit everybody that you were legit injured and you were fine, you tried to fake the world, and to put stories out that you were basically walking on crutches or whatever. You wanted to do that, you wanted to lie to the audience. Karma got you, buddy. At the end of the day, karma's a fucking bitch. It's a fact, and you can't deny it. It is. And it got the entire vision. Bronson, Seth, and Braun Breaker, all down. Reed, Breaker, and Rollins, all are down. So, I mean, Seth should be really cautious with this whole working, and WWE should be cautious with this whole working the crowd again. Working us or something. Because honestly, we already knew. Man, they fucking worked the entire shit, basically. The injury never even occurred. There was never even one little ounce of... He did that on purpose. And sold it on purpose. It was all planned to begin with. So you plan something to make it a legit injury, but at the end of the day, it's a fake injury. But obviously, you have to let the doctors know about it, obviously, because they can fucking shut it down. It's a real injury. So you plan it to be a fucking real injury, but at the same time, it's a fake injury. So karma's going to get you at the end of the day. That's a fact, and that's not going to bode well for any of those people. That's what that is at the end of the day. You can't do nothing about it. That's what it is. It gets you. That's what karma brings, and karma gets you at the end of the day, folks. You can cry, you can do whatever you want. It's karma, and it gets you. And Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker, all of them went down with an injury bug because their leader, Seth Rollins, lied about it to the public, to everybody, that he was not injured. At the same time, that he was injured and he was completely out of action, but he wasn't. So, and we also knew. Okay, let's not get it twisted. We knew. Things just lined up. If you have your own brain, you just fucking come up with it yourself. You don't need fucking reports to know. You can know it yourself. You already know. Sorry for that, really, folks. But we already know. If you you really know about that shit. You can't just put it out there. Oh, you don't know. Oh, we know. We definitely know. More on that. But that's what it is at the end of the day. It's what it is. You can't blame the wrestlers for it. You can't blame the wrestlers for anything like that. This is just on the fucking talent. It's on the company to allow shit to happen like that. But again, great moments. Fuck the story that they try to be the fucking Marvel that they think they are, because they're not. we're like Marvel, we're saying Marvel stars, get the fuck out of here. Get the fucking hell out of here. You're not Marvel wrestling storyteller. Get out of here. You maybe at one point could have been, but you're not. All the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the fucking storytelling you like to tell, you don't. You fucking work the crowd into fucking a moment and a moment after moment. That's what the fucking guy wants. He goes off a moment, basically. He has a moment for fucking fetishes at the end of the day. Who gives a fuck, honestly? We're going over this a little bit here. Eddie Kingston's update, we went over that. Bronson Reed, definitely. Ronda Rousey's has a Netflix Canaro press conference match coming out where she's getting paid apparently $1 billion. I don't know whether that's the case even, but we'll see if that's the case of that situation. But, you know, that's what it is at the end of the day. Mike Johnson, PW Insider, has talked about let's go over this a little bit. David Sade responds to Bruce Pritchard. PW Insider was sent that the David Sade responded to recent comments by Bruce Pritchard in a recent podcast. Bruce Pritchard and I shared extraordinary creative era together. We were both trying to win a war, and when you're in a war, memories can differ, but I can tell you exactly what happened because I was there behind the camera. Billionaire Ted concept was not my idea. I have said the Billionaire Ted is basically what they tried to do with the whole skits of Ted. Ted Turner. We were both trying to win a war, or whatever, that's what they went over. My role was to execute and direct what was decided at the executive level. Bruce initially supported the concept creatively. I personally struggled with it from a creative standpoint, but when Vince gives direction, your job is to execute the highest level possible. And that's what I did. I was physically present, directing that final segment that Bruce referenced. Bruce said that I was quite possibly once one of the worst ideas I've ever had. I was. Don't take that as a statement. And I agree. Bruce also claimed that, and there's any genius of billionaire Ted gets bailed out. David Sade shouldn't be found for miles anywhere near this. Didn't want to touch it. Nobody did. Vince didn't even want to touch it. I was directing it, Bruce producing it. That's not opinion, that's production reality. That photo Bruce reference was taken after the Billionaire Ted vignettes, and I had already concluded those characters were in possession because I was the one responsible for executing and ultimately helped in concluding the creative. I didn't create for a Billionaire Ted, but I was the one trusted to bring him to life and ultimately to put him to rest. The entire period that the truth of it, pressure, decisions, the consequences that I tell the story fully for the first time in Backstage Pass. So he's come out on his post on X, and he's basically, David Sade has spoken these remarks about Bruce Pritchard's comments about the Billionaire Ted skits or whatever that he did to run against WCW when Hulk Hogan went over to WCW. So they basically did those skits because they acknowledged WCW. They were at the same time, talks about it in a really way. Eric, that the whole Billionaire Ted was basically like a shot at WCW. They were acknowledging what was going on with WCW. So all that, I mean, it was going on as a WCW situation, all about that, definitely. Like, So it's all about the whole WCW situation of how they were trying to combat them or acknowledging them, but at the same time they weren't acknowledging that they existed. They definitely acknowledged WCW that way. Chris Jericho, firmly under AEW contract, believed. Let's get over this. Well, we're a timestamp here about where it's getting on started.
Powered by Riverside. Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
All right. WWE events back on Disney Plus. Disney is a promotional push for the weekends. It's supposed to be promotional because WWE Elimination Chamber and ESPN Unlimited, and has been WWE's WrestlePalooza 2025, Survivor Series, Crown Jewel, all the shebang, 2026 Royal Rumble. You know what's funny to me that WWE's on Disney at the end of the day? That's crazy that they're actually on fucking Disney. Something I thought it was a fantasy that I believed that maybe I was thinking in my own goddamn mind that I believed that would ever happen, but then WWE actually ends up on Disney, and they actually end up on Disney Plus. So they are on Disney Plus. For if you're an ESPN subscriber, ESPN Plus, then you're definitely watching Disney Plus too. So at the end of the day, what can I say about that? I can't say nothing about that. I can't. That's what it is.
Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Chris Jericho, firmly under AEW contract, believed to have the deal frozen. That's how we're going to hit, folks. Chris Jericho, apparently, people have been thinking about going back to the Stranger Things Raw episode, which, again, great show. Just going to put it out there. Incredible show. The show, Stranger Things. It's not that episode of Monday Night Raw. No, but the show, Stranger Things. It's incredible. Just going to put it out there. If you would know, you know. It's a great show. So it's a really good show. It is the number one show of all time. No doubt in my mind. But anyways, Chris Jericho was apparently was speculated by fans online, basically, for the Stranger Things episode of Raw, Monday Night Raw, that was a collab with Stranger Things that they did. Jericho was speculated to be on that show, even though nothing came from Fightful or any fucking resource out there that Chris Jericho was going to be back with WWE on January 5th. That's going to end the Stranger Things Raw episode that they plan to do. Moving forward. Then people have speculated Chris Jericho to be at the Royal Rumble. There's returning of the Rumble, so another shocker that people got to see that there was no Chris Jericho at the Rumble. So recently as we have been getting a storyline of what's in the box. What's in the box? Jack in the Box. You guys ever play fucking Jack in the Box? It's a fun game, and you will love it if you know it. But at the end of the day, you know, it's what it is. It's Jack in the Box, and it's a fucking what's in the box? What's in the box? It's Vince McMahon 101, honestly. I don't know who came up with this fucking garbage. Like, what's in the box WWE storyline? Like, no, like what the hell, honestly? After getting such great storylines, we're getting like, what's in the box? Like, what? Like, what's in the box? Are you kidding me? That's a storyline? We're not gonna go over the product really, but holy shit, that's what relates to Chris Jericho here, because that's our last topic. We're gonna end this off today, definitely. But again, what's in the box? Chris Jericho. No, he's not in the box. Hard to break that to you, but he's not in the box. I'll give you my opinions on what this report says and what I buy into it or not, and maybe he was in the box. We'll see what I come to conclusion. Do I see that he's in the box or not? We're going to figure that out, but that's what we're not here to talk about. Anyways, let's have some fun. Jericho. Yeah, again, what's in the box? Silly as fuck to me. What's in the box? Like Jack in the Box. Play that fucking game, you wouldn't know that, definitely. Like some kind of fucking storyline for telling this bloodline storylines of the storylines I've been telling. It's all about what's in the box. So we're gonna find out what's in the box. Like, what was in the fucking egg? What was the egg that they were gonna hatch in Survivor Series? It was a gobbledygooker from fucking Thanksgiving or something. The gobbledygooker that fucking Vince summoned out of the fucking egg in 1995. Or, sorry, 1990. 35 years ago plus or something. The gobbledygooker. That was what was in the fucking egg. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho firmly under AEW contract, believed to have had a deal frozen. Fightful Select reports details on the current state of Chris Jericho. Fightful Select reports Chris Jericho is firmly under AEW contract. The belief that from those around Jericho and AEW that his deal was frozen and he took time off in 2025. Now, I don't believe that one instant, honestly. Why was his deal frozen? Because he took time off. I can see Jericho requesting Tony Khan to freeze his deal if he was okay being there with AEW, if he had something to offer AEW still to end his career off at AEW. He's like, okay, maybe Tony, hey Tony, freeze my deal maybe or something. Because, I mean, Jericho was one of the pioneers of AEW. Started off without Chris Jericho, there might not be a fucking AEW to begin with here, sickos. So the reality is reality. It's not Kenny Omega, it's not the Bucks, it's Jericho, and it's Cody too. So let's not throw Cody out of the game or something, okay? Like, Cody Rhodes is quite pivotal and important to the fact that AEW exists because he was the one who was pushing all in, and he did all that shit at the start of it. The Bucks were part of it, but Cody's the one who started the revolution and the movement for professional wrestling to change and getting a new home after the death of WCW. So the whole notion of Jericho contract frozen, I find that really hard to believe, and I call bullshit on that. I was like, why the fuck would you freeze his contract? You respect him so much, you fucking freeze his contract, okay? That's great. Jericho has been reported, not just reported, he's still present on the AEW roster page. Chris Jericho, you enter his name, he's going to be there. Chris Jericho is a member of the AEW roster team. As soon as Powerhouse Club, they took him off right away of the AEW roster page, but Jericho is still part of it. Jericho has not appeared on AEW television since April 2024, which is about close to a year now, basically. Fans can, okay, whatever about Jericho. So, this is all about Jericho at the end of the day. So Jericho, this is apparently before. So, but we didn't go over this. We'll go over this. Jericho apparently said that this is from December 27th. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it. Chris Jericho hasn't been on AEW television. Chris Jericho on potentially returning to WWE. You never know. Okay, Jericho. A fan sent a message to the Jericho's debut at their grandma's house and hoped he would return to WWE. Jericho replied, you never know. So he's basically teasing the fan that, hey, you don't know if I would come back to WWE or not. Hi, guys. Imagine comes back with the whole fucking learning tree gimmick. You know, you got MFT is my family tree, or whatever, their fucking tree in WWE. Imagine get the fucking learning tree back over there. Like, the learning tree is not enough of shit that we got fucking. Honestly, I'll give you my take. I don't want to see fucking Chris Jericho on AEW television. I'll give you that right over there. I don't want to see this guy on AEW television. There's no point of him that I want to see. Not one bit. AEW television is doing so great, and we're going to talk about on the Unscripted Kayfabe, where we're going to praise AEW a lot, and the amount of burial that I'm going to give to WWE is coming, bro. It's definitely coming. There's going to be shit that I'm going to spew on WWE. Because they suck. And the fucking thing to keep on saying that they're fucking Marvel levels of storytelling, man, shut the fuck up. Try to do that, actually, then speak that you're that kind of storytelling. You're not. And I'm definitely going to bury them. I'm going to bury the shit out of WWE. But at the same time, we're going to praise AEW because AEW is doing a fucking incredible job. AEW's, their main event scene's looking really good. So I don't want Chris Jericho in part of that because I don't want to see what Chris Jericho does in AEW. Because Chris Jericho should not be working with any talent. When somebody works with Chris Jericho, it doesn't help them. How many times have we seen fucking Sammy Guevara went from this position from Inner Circle to back to Jericho Appreciation Society to fucking Ring of Honor and teaming with Dustin Rhodes? Nobody at the end of the day. 6 years. One of the 4 pillars of AEW coined by All Elite Wrestling. Where the fuck did he go, Sammy Guevara? Where did he go? Nowhere. So this whole notion that working with Chris Jericho helps people and how many people have been elevated. Nobody's been fucking elevated for working with Chris Jericho in AEW. Now, I don't know what that stake would be if he goes over to WWE, but in AEW, nobody has been benefited off that. Nobody. So, at the end of the day, Chris Jericho's, career in AEW, it's not looking that good, honestly. I wish he didn't sign that fucking deal that he signed in 2022 because honestly he wasn't needed then either. Out of that Will Ospreay little program that they had, maybe they were talking something with Kenny Omega. It's been majorly dog shit. Chris Jericho's run in AEW has been majorly dog shit, okay? In the last 3 years, it's been absolutely fucking garbage dog shit Chris Jericho run. That Adam Cole feud, nothing landing with that shit. So, I don't want to see Chris Jericho back on AEW television because I said again, AEW is doing really great. It's giving us really great storytelling. It's good with like in the main event scene, the product's looking strong. It's looking good. It might be heading to its own boom. Hopefully, it's careful about the whole ICE situation and what's going on with that. And hopefully, they don't fuck the situation up with them. And hopefully, they figure that shit out because it can mess up the situation later on. But AEW is doing great. So, but note the fact that I'm gonna bury the shit out of WWE. So, we're not going to go over that, definitely. But at the end of the day, yeah. AEW is doing great. And yes, I'm going to just scan again. Fuck WWE. WWE's shit. WWE's dog shit. It's dog shit fucking Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. Who gives a fuck about that? Fuck out of here. Moving on. So, Jericho. Back to Jericho. Jericho has been silent as much about his roles. He says you never know. He's been hinting, he's been liking posts on Instagram for a while, talking about all that shit. He's been mentioning it a lot, okay? Let's not get it twisted. Jericho's been mentioning it so many times. It's insane. Chris Jericho, at the end of the day, is a top guy in the industry. His value is left maybe a couple years left to professional wrestling in general. And he's a 55-year-old man, honestly. He's a 55-year-old man, and at this point, Chris Jericho should be looking for retirement instead of coming back to professional wrestling. Would I be opposed to seeing him on television? No. Would I lose my mind if it's not there? I don't know. But do I want to see him on AEW television? Fuck no, because the product is really good. and WWE's product is shit, so I will give two fucks if he shows up in WWE. But if he shows up in AEW, that'll piss me off because then you're hurting the product. Because when you're putting Chris Jericho, when you're trying to put Chris Jericho with all these talents who don't basically rub off the good in a goodwill with Chris Jericho, they don't, and they have never been really risen up to a great situation that they're doing great. Okay, Chris Jericho, let's not get it twisted. By the end of the day, Jericho's situation with AEW is interesting at the same time, but Jericho. So let's get into what's in the box or whatever. So again, I don't know why his deal is frozen by AEW. Again, we don't know much about it, but we're going to talk about the last part of it, what Jericho, if it's ready to Jericho or not, if we're going to preview what's in the box. So let's fucking play this game called What's in the Box, folks. Drum roll. Yep, what's in the box? Danhausen's in the box. Danhausen's contract's coming up with AEW, so, and it being in Chicago, and Danhausen's great friends with CM Punk even after they've been seen at a Comic-Con, interacting with each other. We've seen Danhausen and Punk together, so it's a matter of what if or when that happens even, but the prediction could be Danhausen's in the box, but I'm not completely sure about that. I'm not going to give you all my takes about why I think it's only Danhausen in the box. Because I believe it could be somebody else at the end of the day. Yeah. But what's in the box, man? It's a game that we're trying to play here. What's in the box, basically. Like we really want to know what's in the fucking box. It's basically like a Jack in the Box or something shit like that. So all that shit, what's in the box and what the hell? Where apparently now it was first shown up to a show where this guy named what's his name, man? I fucking forgot his name. Eli. This guy named Eli picks up this fucking paper. It's completely empty. He's like, shows up a box. Adam Pearce is like, what's in the box? Like whatever. Like what's in? Like who sent this or whatever. So it's like send it to Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis sends it back. Nick Aldis sees this. He's like, send it to Adam Pearce. Let him deal with it. So both send it, and then Adam Pearce is like, so basically trying to move the box around these locations. Honestly, would I believe that Chris Jericho's in the box? No, I won't. It's stupid. You can't tell me a living human being is being shipped off from a location of like freaking Monday Night Raw or Atlanta to some other location over there. I don't know where he's been shipped off. I'm not catching up with the shows as much recently, but at least for a while, I don't watch that much WWE. Currently, I'm watching AEW a bit more, so whatever. Who cares about that? But at the end of the day, so Jericho, he can just not be so stupid that he's being fucking shipped around like we gotta fucking insult your audience intelligence. You don't need to do that at the end of the day. It's honestly stupid, but that's the case for that. So it's being shipped around, and they'll apparently open the crate in the box or whatever they're gonna open fucking on the day of Elimination Chamber from the United Center, basically. So what's in the box, folks? It's all about that shit at the end of the day. So my final take on this would be, I think it's a big chance it's Danhausen, but I'm still not sure that Chris Jericho is not returning. I absolutely see Chris Jericho coming back to WWE, because if Chris Jericho is honest to himself, he knows that he should not be back on television, because now since he's been off, and recently AEW started to get some boom and some kind of a buzz, and getting some energized feelings about AEW, and the ratings are going up. Tells you why the product's good, because the ratings are going up. We're going to 700,000 viewership on TBS. That's a good number for your ratings to go up, definitely. You were like at 400, 300 before, literally back in fucking December, and now you're going up. So Jericho does not need to be part of that because Jericho doesn't help these stars, and Jericho has not really elevated anybody. Sammy Guevara, if you know, you know. So at the end of the day, it's what it is. Jericho is out. And done with AEW, I believe. And I think Jericho will be returning. I absolutely believe that's my prediction, and I'm putting it out there. I'm not just putting it out there, it's a fucking spoiler. Jericho, there will be something of Jericho's in the box. Jericho's not going to be in the box, but I absolutely believe there's going to be something of Chris Jericho in the box. And if it's not Jericho, nothing related to Jericho, Jericho doesn't return, it's dead. I don't know what the fuck's in the box. I don't know. I believe it's fucking, it cannot be a human being. It has to be, either has to be something comical as fucking Danhausen, or it's got to be Chris Jericho. Not in the box, really, but Jericho's items, and maybe his light-up jackets in the box, Y2J, some shit, and the countdown begins, and fucking, yeah, center goes crazy. You know, you don't know, really, so at the end of the day, that's what's the case. That'll be it, guys, for the Wrestling is Spades podcast. I reimbursed myself for the Wrestling Series podcast here, Spades. And formerly known as the Wrestling Series podcast, known as now the Wrestling is Spades podcast. That'll be it, folks. The Wrestling is Spades podcast. This is the Wrestling is Spades podcast. That'll be it. That'll be it. Would that be it? Yeah. Prediction, Jericho could be returning. That's what's debate. But that'll be it again for the Wrestling is Spades podcast. Reimbursing myself with the Wrestling Series podcast, which is a name change that we've done. It's gone under a new brand called the Wrestling is Spades podcast. Season 4, episode 1 is in the books. I'll see you next week.
Powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.